Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that everything you've ever achieved and everything you will ever achieve hinges on one invisible, unstoppable force? It's not luck. It's not simply talent. It's the power of your communication. I'm talking about how you speak, how you listen, how you connect. Because let's face it, communication can make your success, or it can break it. When I say make or break, I mean this. You could have the greatest idea, the biggest dream, endless potential, and if you cannot express it, cannot persuade, cannot align with others, that idea will die. On the flip side, you could have modest resources, but if you communicate with clarity, authority, authenticity, you'll light up opportunities, you'll forge alliances, you'll break barriers. That is the battleground. That is where winners are made. So if you're watching this right now, ready to own your future, I want you to lock in. Because we're about to walk through not just why communication matters, but how you wield it like a weapon, like a tool, like the game changer it truly is. Clarity is the foundation of every powerful communicator. It's the difference between being heard and being remembered, between being seen and being followed, between having potential and having results. When your communication is clear, you become magnetic. People listen, they lean in, they trust. But when you speak from confusion, hesitation, or fear, you lose your power before you've even begun. That's the truth no one wants to hear. If your message isn't clear, your vision dies quietly in the noise. Most people think success is about talent or intelligence, but success is about alignment. It's about making your thoughts, your words, and your actions move in the same direction. That's what clarity does. It aligns you. When your vision is cloudy, every word you speak loses weight. You can't inspire others to follow a path you can't see yourself. So before you talk, before you pitch, before you lead, get clear. What do you want? Why does it matter? What's the outcome? Because until those answers are solid in your mind, your communication will sound like static. Clarity starts with honesty, the kind of honesty that's uncomfortable. You have to face yourself and admit where you're unsure, where you're overcomplicating, where you're pretending to know more than you do. The reason most people avoid clarity is because it exposes what's weak. It shows where the gaps are, but the moment you face that truth, you gain something stronger than confidence. You gain direction, and when you have direction, your words carry power. People don't follow the loudest voice, they follow the clearest one. Look at anyone who commands a room. It's not just their tone. It's the precision of their message. Every sentence has purpose. Every pause has weight. They don't ramble because they've already wrestled with their thoughts in private. That's what gives them control in public. The world doesn't reward noise, it rewards clarity. A clear message cuts through opinions, confusion, and doubt. It doesn't need to shout. It simply resonates. You can't inspire action if people don't understand your message. You can't lead a team if your direction is foggy. You can't close a deal if your value isn't defined. That's how clarity makes or breaks your success. It's not just about speaking clearly. It's about thinking clearly, because the way you think shapes the way you talk, and the way you talk shapes the way others believe in you. Your words become the blueprint of how others see your vision. If that blueprint is messy, they'll never build with you. Clarity also demands simplicity. Complexity might sound intelligent, but simplicity sounds confident. When you can explain something in a few clear sentences, it shows mastery. When you need a paragraph of jargon, it shows confusion. Don't hide behind complicated words. Don't try to sound deep. Try to be understood. The most powerful communicators strip away the unnecessary until only the truth remains. And that truth, delivered cleanly, becomes unstoppable. But clarity isn't just external, it's internal. You can't fake it. People feel when your message isn't aligned with your heart. They sense hesitation, and it kills trust instantly. When your inner voice is unsure, your outer voice will tremble. The key is alignment, knowing what you stand for and being willing to defend it. When you speak from conviction, your words carry a frequency people can feel. You don't need to convince anyone. Your clarity convinces for you. Every leader who's ever changed the world mastered this. Clarity before communication. They didn't just talk, they transmitted belief. And belief is contagious when it's clear. Think about it. People don't follow those who seem certain. They follow those who are certain. Clarity is what turns uncertainty into authority. So ask yourself, how clear are you really? When you speak about your goals, do people understand your vision? When you present your ideas, do they feel your conviction? Or are your words trapped in hesitation and overthinking? If you want to shift your results, stop adding more noise. Strip it down, simplify your message, speak from truth. Clarity gives you control over chaos. When the world gets loud, when opinions collide, when doubts rise, clarity keeps you grounded. It's your compass in confusion. You don't get lost in emotion because you know where you're going. That's what separates leaders from followers. Followers react, leaders respond, and clarity is the gap between reaction and response. When your communication is built on clarity, people don't just listen. They align. They see your vision, they feel your energy, and they believe in your direction. That's how momentum is built. One clear message repeated with conviction can move more people than 1,000 confusing words shouted with fear. So from this moment, commit to clarity. Don't speak to impress, speak to impact. Don't communicate to be noticed, communicate to be understood. Every conversation is an opportunity to either strengthen your message or weaken your presence. Choose to strengthen it. Choose to refine your thoughts until they're sharp enough to cut through the noise. Because in the end, clarity is power. It's not given, it's built, and the ones who build it, who refine their message until every word carries purpose, those are the ones who rise. When your words are clear, your path becomes clear. When your path is clear, your future opens up. That's how communication turns from a skill into a force. And that force will define your success. Connection is the true currency of success. In every boardroom, every partnership, every dream built or destroyed, it all comes down to one question: can you connect? Because in a world full of voices shouting to be heard, it's not the loudest that win, it's the ones who connect the deepest. You can have the best idea, the sharpest skills, the most brilliant mind, but if you can't connect with people, you'll stay invisible. Connection opens doors that talent alone can't. It turns strangers into allies, customers into believers, and moments into movements. Every great communicator understands this. Words are just tools, but connection is the bridge. People don't remember everything you said. They remember how you made them feel. They remember if they felt seen, heard, and valued. That's the power of connection. It's not manipulation, it's resonance. It's when your message stops being just information and starts being emotion. Because emotion drives action, and action drives success. Most people talk to impress, few talk to impact. They speak to be right instead of speaking to relate. But success is built by those who know how to meet people where they are. When you connect, you create trust, and trust is the foundation of every relationship that leads to opportunity. You can't build influence without it. You can't inspire a team, sell a vision, or change a life without it. You can talk all day, but without connection, it's just noise. Connection isn't about pretending. It's not about playing a role or faking empathy. It's about authenticity. When you show up as real, people can feel it. When you speak from truth, people listen differently. They don't just hear your words, they sense your intention. And in that moment, something shifts, barriers drop, resistance fades, because authenticity cuts through every wall. You don't have to be perfect, you have to be present. Think about the people who influenced your life, the ones who made you believe you could do more, be more, achieve more. They didn't just talk at you, they spoke into you. They connected with your heart before they tried to reach your mind. That's what makes their message unforgettable, and that's exactly how you create impact in your own journey. You stop performing and start relating. You stop trying to impress the world and start trying to reach it. In business, connection is leverage. People buy from people they trust. They partner with people they respect. They follow leaders who make them feel understood. You can't lead without connection. Leadership isn't about position, it's about permission. And people only give you that permission when they feel you understand them. That's why the best leaders spend more time listening than talking. They study their people, their needs, their pain points. They don't guess. They connect. Connection isn't built overnight. It's built through consistency. It's built when you keep showing up with integrity, when your words and actions match, when people can predict your character even when they can't predict your circumstances. Every time you keep your word, every time you follow through, every time you show empathy, you're depositing into the bank of connection, and one day that currency will pay dividends that money can't buy. But connection also requires vulnerability. You can't connect through walls, you connect through openness. When you have the courage to be real, to admit mistakes, to share lessons, to be human, you give others permission to do the same. That's how bonds are formed, that's how influence grows. It's not weakness, it's strength. People respect power, but they follow authenticity. When you connect with people, you shift from being a voice in the crowd to being a voice they trust. That's when communication becomes transformation. That's when your words start moving people instead of just passing by them. Every meaningful opportunity in life comes from someone who felt connected to you. Every door that opened started with a conversation that resonated. That's why connection is currency. It's the medium through which every exchange of trust, value, and opportunity flows. And here's the truth most overlook: you can't fake connection. You can't force it. It's either real or it's not. People have instincts. They can sense when you're using them or when you're truly for them. The moment your motives turn selfish, the bridge collapses. That's why connection requires character. It demands that you operate with intention, empathy, and respect. When you make others feel valued, they'll move mountains with you. So if you want to grow your business, your influence, your impacts, stop chasing attention and start building connection. Attention fades, but connection compounds. When you focus on making people feel understood, the world starts opening for you. When you care enough to listen before you speak, to give before you ask, to value before you sell, you separate yourself from everyone else just fighting to be noticed. Connection doesn't just build success, it sustains it. Because no matter how talented you are, you'll need people to believe in you, support you, and push with you. You can't build legacy alone. Legacy is built on the shoulders of those you connected with, the lives you touched, the hearts you influenced. Every major success story is really a story of connection. Someone believed, someone opened a door, someone made a way. So before you chase your next opportunity, stop and ask yourself, am I connecting or am I just communicating? Am I speaking to impress or am I speaking to impact? Am I listening to reply or am I listening to understand? Because the quality of your life, your leadership, and your legacy will be determined by the depth of your connections. When you master the art of connection, you don't have to chase success. Success starts finding you. People will remember your energy long after they forget your words. They'll remember how you made them feel long after the details fade. That's the secret most never learn. In the economy of life, connection is the only currency that never loses value. You listening is the most underrated superpower in the world. Everyone wants to talk, everyone wants to be heard, but very few have mastered the discipline of truly listening. And that's why so many miss the opportunities right in front of them. The ones who rise, the ones who lead, the ones who influence at the highest level. They know something most people ignore. Your greatest advantage isn't in how well you speak, it's in how well you listen. Because when you listen deeply, you see what others miss, you understand what others overlook, and you act when others are still guessing. Listening is not just hearing sounds, it's understanding signals. It's reading energy, it's catching the message behind the words. Most people hear to respond, but the wise listen to understand. That difference changes everything. When you listen with focus, people feel it. They open up, they trust you, they give you insight, emotion, truth. That's when you stop communicating on the surface and start connecting at the core. Real communication isn't about volume, it's about depth. Listening builds power in silence. In every conversation, the one who listens the most learns the most. The one who listens the most controls the direction. Because while others are speaking to be heard, you're gathering information, understanding motives, reading the room. You're learning what they care about, what drives them, what scares them. That gives you clarity others don't have, and in a world where clarity is power, listening becomes your weapon. The reason most people struggle with communication is because they never learn to slow down. They rush to speak, to prove, to argue, but communication isn't a race. It's a rhythm. The best communicators know when to speak and when to stay quiet. They use silence strategically. They give space for truth to reveal itself. Because sometimes the most valuable thing in a conversation isn't what's said, it's what's not said. When you're still, you start hearing things beyond words, tone, hesitation, emotion, and that's where real understanding lies. Listening gives you leverage in business, in leadership, in relationships. It's the difference between guessing and knowing. When you listen, you gather data others ignore. You learn exactly what your clients want, what your team needs, what your audience feels. That knowledge gives you an edge that no degree, no training, no speech can give. You can walk into any room and instantly understand what others can't. That's how influence is built, not by being the loudest, but by being the most aware. Listening also builds trust. People crave to be understood. They crave to feel heard. And when you give someone that, you instantly elevate yourself in their eyes. They begin to associate your presence with peace, your attention with value. They feel respected, and respect always returns with loyalty. You don't have to agree with everyone you listen to, but you have to respect them enough to hear them. That's leadership. That's how movements are born, not through control, but through understanding. But let's be honest, listening is hard because it requires humility. It means putting your ego aside. It means admitting that someone else might know something you don't. It means being patient when you'd rather speak. That's why so few ever master it. The ego wants to be heard, wisdom wants to understand. When you quiet your ego, you start hearing truth louder than ever before. Listening also sharpens your intuition. The more you listen, the more you start noticing patterns, how people think, how they react, how they hide emotion in their words. You begin to sense what's real and what's fake, who's loyal and who's pretending, what's opportunity and what's distraction. That's the level where listening turns into instinct. You start reading life at a deeper frequency, and there's another side to this, listening to yourself. Most people are too distracted to hear their own thoughts. They ignore their instincts, their inner voice, their body's signals. They seek advice everywhere but inside. But your inner voice is your compass. If you just slow down long enough to listen, it would tell you what's right, what's wrong, when to move, when to wait. The same skill that helps you understand others can help you understand yourself, because success doesn't start with speaking. It starts with awareness. When you listen, you learn. When you learn, you grow. When you grow, you lead. Every great leader has mastered this order. They know that power doesn't come from dominating conversations. It comes from directing them through understanding. The person who listens is always in control, even when they're silent. Because silence speaks louder than noise when it comes from presence and awareness. Listening also strengthens relationships, whether it's your team, your family, your audience, or your client. People remember how deeply you paid attention. When someone talks and feels ignored, they disconnect. But when they talk and feel heard, they connect. That connection turns into loyalty, that loyalty turns into opportunity, and that opportunity turns into growth. That's why listening pays dividends in every area of life. So when you walk into your next conversation, remember this: your words may impress, but your listening will influence. Don't just listen to what people say. Listen to what they mean. Don't listen to reply, listen to connect. Every time you do, you gain insight, empathy, and influence. You become the person people trust, the one they open up to, the one they follow. In a world where everyone is shouting for attention, be the one who listens with intention. Because while others compete to be heard, you'll be the one who understands, and understanding, that's the real power. Listening will never make you the loudest in the room, but it will make you the one everyone listens to. That's why listening is your secret weapon. It's quiet, but it conquers everything. You can say everything right. But if your body says something different, people will believe your body. That's the truth about communication that most people never understand. You think words make the impact, but it's your presence that does. Your tone, your eyes, your posture, your energy. They all speak louder than your mouth ever will, because nonverbal communication is never silent. Even when you're quiet, you're saying something. The way you walk into a room, the way you sit in a meeting, the way you shake a hand, the way you hold your gaze, all of it sends a message about who you are before you even speak. The world is constantly reading you. Every moment, consciously or not, people are deciding whether to trust you, follow you, or ignore you. And those decisions are not made based on your words. They're made on how you carry yourself. That's why some people can walk in and command attention without saying a single thing. It's not magic, it's presence. They've mastered their energy. They've aligned their internal belief with their external expression. When what's inside you matches what's outside you, you become magnetic. Your body language is your credibility. You can't fake confidence with words. You either have it in your energy or you don't. When you speak from uncertainty, your shoulders show it, your tone shows it, your eyes show it. People feel the disconnect, and once they feel it, they stop believing you. That's why it's not enough to memorize lines or rehearse phrases. You have to become the message. If your words and your energy don't match, your message dies on delivery. Think about the most powerful speakers, leaders, and visionaries you've seen. They don't rush. They don't fidget. They don't shrink when they speak. They stand grounded, look you in the eye, and speak from their core. You can feel their certainty. You can feel their conviction. That's nonverbal power. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. It's the calm confidence that says, I know who I am, and I believe in what I'm saying. That's what moves people. Every movement communicates intention. When you cross your arms, when you avoid eye contact, when you fidget, you're signaling hesitation, insecurity, or defense. When you open up your stance, when you stand tall, when you nod with understanding, you signal confidence, openness, and connection. The body never lies. You might try to say one thing, but your energy will always reveal what you truly feel. That's why mastering nonverbal communication starts with mastering your inner state. If you want your body to project confidence, you have to build it internally first. Nonverbal communication isn't just about power, it's about presence. People don't remember your words as much as they remember how they felt around you. You can make someone feel respected, valued, inspired, or you can make them feel small, dismissed, and invisible, all without saying a single word. Presence is emotional impact, and it's created through eye contact, focus, tone, and body alignment. When you give someone your full attention, when your energy says, "I see you," they feel it instantly. That's influence. In leadership, your nonverbal cues determine the emotional tone of every room you enter. If you walk in stressed, your team feels it. If you show up calm and focused, they mirror that energy. Energy is contagious, and people don't follow instructions. They follow energy. The most powerful leaders don't need to demand respect. They command it by the way they show up. That's why controlling your body language isn't about performance. It's about responsibility. You have to become aware of the message your energy is sending every time you step into a room. Confidence is not loud, it's steady, it's in your posture, it's in your pace, it's in your stillness. When you're centered, your silence becomes louder than someone else's noise. You don't need to dominate, you just need to be present. That's how you shift rooms without speaking, but you can't fake that level of presence. You have to cultivate it by training your body to follow your belief instead of your fear. People often underestimate how much emotion is communicated without words. A simple smile can disarm tension. A steady gaze can build trust. A slouched posture can destroy credibility. A rushed movement can break authority. Every action either adds to or subtracts from your message. The best communicators use their bodies intentionally. They pause at the right time, move with purpose, and let their expressions reinforce their words. That's what separates average communicators from unforgettable ones. Your tone also carries more weight than your vocabulary. You can say the right sentence in the wrong tone and it loses meaning. You can say a simple phrase with conviction and change someone's life. Your tone reflects your state of mind. If you speak from confidence, people feel secure. If you speak from anxiety, they feel uncertain. You don't have to raise your voice to be powerful. You just have to speak from truth. That tone, that calm certainty, that's what builds authority. The truth is, every time you communicate, your audience listens with their eyes before their ears. They judge your belief before your logic. You might think you're just speaking words, but they're reading everything. Your breathing, your gestures, your focus. The way you stand, the way you move, the way you pause, it all becomes part of the message. That's why nonverbal communication is never silent. It's a language your body speaks fluently, even when your mind isn't aware of it. If you want your message to have power, alignment is everything. Align your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and your words. When those four are in harmony, people feel truth. When they're not, people feel confusion. And in communication, confusion kills impact. The goal is not to impress, but to express. To embody your message so completely that every part of you reinforces what you're saying. So from this moment on, pay attention to the message your body is sending. Before you speak, align your mind. Before you present, align your energy, because your body speaks before you do. And when your nonverbal communication is congruent with your purpose, you don't need to shout to be heard. You walk into rooms and people feel your presence. You stand still and people sense your strength. You speak and every gesture amplifies your truth. That's when your communication stops being noise and starts becoming power. Every time you open your mouth, you're either building momentum or destroying it. There's no in-between. Communication is not neutral, it's a force. It can push you forward or pull you back. It can ignite a team or drain it. It can open doors or close them permanently. The words you choose, the tone you use, the energy you bring, those are the gears of momentum. You either use them to accelerate towards success or you grind them until everything stops moving. Momentum is everything in life. It's that invisible current that carries you forward when things start to align. But momentum doesn't happen by accident. It's built through consistent communication that inspires trust, clarity, and belief. Every message you deliver, every conversation you lead, every response you give, it's all adding or subtracting from your momentum. Some people can't figure out why things keep stalling in their life, their career, their relationships. They blame bad luck, timing, or circumstances. But in truth, it's often their communication killing their own progress. You see, communication is how energy moves. Words are vehicles of emotion, intention, and direction. When your communication is clear, confident, and intentional, people align with you. They start to move with you. They feel your conviction, and that creates motion. But when your communication is inconsistent, negative, or confusing, people hesitate. They pull back. Doubt replaces drive, and just like that, momentum dies. Think about a leader whose words inspire action. Every time they speak, they inject belief. They give people direction. They speak from vision, not emotion. That's why their teams move fast. They feel the momentum. Then think about someone who leads with mixed signals. One day confident, the next uncertain, 1 minute decisive, the next distracted. That inconsistency creates friction. It slows everything down. That's how communication kills momentum. It breeds confusion and drains trust. Momentum thrives on alignment. Everyone moves faster when they understand the mission and believe in it. But that only happens when your communication is strong enough to unify people. If your message changes every week, if your tone shifts based on your mood, if your words don't match your actions, you break alignment, and when alignment breaks, momentum disappears. The best communicators understand this. They know their voice is the rhythm everyone follows, so they protect that rhythm. They make sure their message stays consistent even when conditions change. The most dangerous communication isn't silence, it's careless words. A single comment said in frustration can undo weeks of progress. A sarcastic remark, a moment of negativity, a lack of gratitude. Those little cracks destroy momentum quietly. That's why awareness matters. Before you speak, ask yourself, will this build momentum or kill it? Because everything you say sends energy somewhere, either forward or backward. Momentum is emotional before it's physical. It starts in how people feel. You can't move people toward a goal if they don't feel connected to it. That's why communication is the fuel. When you speak life, when you cast vision, when you remind people of the why, you reignite passion. That passion turns into action. That action creates results. Results create belief, and belief creates unstoppable momentum. But the opposite is just as true. When you speak doubt, when you focus on problems instead of progress, you choke the energy out of the room. The team feels it, the energy shifts, everything slows down. Momentum also lives in how you communicate with yourself. The conversations you have in your own head either accelerate your growth or trap you in fear. Every "I can't," "I'm not ready," or "I'm not enough" steals momentum. Every "I will," "I'm learning," "I've got this" adds to it. You're communicating with yourself every moment of the day, and that inner dialogue dictates the outer results. When your self-talk is aligned with your vision, your external communication naturally follows. The truth is, the most successful people are intentional communicators. They know when to speak and when to stay silent. They know how to turn pressure into presence. They don't let emotion lead their mouth. They think, they breathe, they respond with purpose. That's how they protect their momentum. They never let words become weapons against their own progress. Momentum requires belief, and belief requires clarity. When you communicate clearly, people feel secure. When you're vague, they hesitate. Every unclear message creates resistance, and resistance kills flow. Whether it's your business, your relationships, or your personal growth, you must become the kind of communicator whose words inspire motion. Every conversation should move something forward. A plan, a mindset, a connection. If it doesn't, it's just noise. Communication that builds momentum is rooted in consistency and conviction. You can't motivate people one day and discourage them the next. You can't preach excellence and then settle for average. Your message has to become your identity. You have to live it until people can predict it. When they know exactly who you are and what you stand for, they move with you. That's momentum. But momentum also demands honesty. You can't sugarcoat everything and expect growth. Sometimes communication that builds momentum is hard truth. It's confrontation done with respect. It's feedback given with care. It's saying what needs to be said to keep everyone aligned. Weak communication avoids discomfort. Strong communication creates accountability, and accountability fuels progress. So the next time you speak, remember, your words are energy in motion. They can lift, lead, and accelerate, or they can divide, deflate, and delay. Your tone can light a fire, or it can put it out. Your presence can create calm, or it can create chaos. Every word matters, every tone matters, every silence matters. If you want to build unstoppable momentum in your life, speak with clarity. Lead with conviction, listen with intention, keep your energy consistent, your message aligned, and your emotions grounded, because communication is not just about talking, it's about transmitting belief. And when belief moves through your words, momentum follows. You don't have to say more to create it. You just have to mean more. Every conversation, every message, every response, make it count. Because your communication will either be the wind behind your success or the weight holding it down. The choice every time is yours. Now here's the bottom line. If you want your success story to be brilliant, unforgettable, legendary, you must own your communication. You must command it, because you'll never have a shortage of opportunities. You'll have a shortage of connection. You'll never have a shortage of ideas. You'll have a shortage of impact. You'll never have a shortage of dreams. You'll have a shortage of clarity. So go out right now and ask yourself, how am I communicating my vision? How am I connecting my value? How am I listening to the world? How is my presence amplifying or muting my message? Am I building momentum, or am I choking it? If you answer those questions honestly and then take action, you will shift. You will rise. Your success won't just come, it will resonate. And when you stand at the podium of your life looking back, you'll realize the difference wasn't talent or timing. It was the voice you used, the presence you brought, the way you reached out. Communication made your success. You owned it. Thank you. And let's go build something unbreakable.